Good morning, lovely souls. This is week 4 of Know Thy Hand. There will be an accompanying worksheet for you for this week, but it is kind of a catch-up or a summary, and just to guide you through a full poem reading. So my world has been hectic, but the one thing I am not going to leave you is hanging. Okay, so I am up at 5 o'clock this morning. I was actually up at like 3 something, but I wanted to prepare this and get this ready for you, so that I can get this done and get this out. So most of the uploads that you are seeing on my channel are ones that have been done a while ago, but today is the 25th, so you will see this hopefully tonight because I don't want to leave you hanging, and I want to give you a few days if you would like to do a VR or, share some of the spreads. Coffee. Then we can do that. But to go through the worksheet, it's just a checklist. So to help you go through what you've already learned, which is your hand shape, which mounts that you found were prominent. And remember, and one of my keywords is prominent or active, because I will tell you that the shapes and sizes of your mounts and the color and the texture, all that's going to change. So honestly, I wouldn't focus on that as being the blueprint of who you are, because the size of these are going to predominantly, I would say your big 3 are always going to be in competition with each other. But the redness will change. Just the colors are going to change. So, and then, definitely looking at your major lines is important, because that's not going to change. Now, I will tell you, all of those little lines that you see crossing those can change, or they can, you will see, like, sometimes these lines will get deeper or they will fade. But what is there is not going to change. It's just the intensity of the line can change. And then, of course, we learned about stars and crosses and triangles and squares. So, this is kind of like just a guide to help you go over that in your hand. And then page 2 is more reflection and journal prompts. And then there is a tarot spread. So I think we'll do that real quick. What do you say? I'm going to use my Starlight Tarot deck. So let's do that. And then at the end of this, stay tuned, because I'm going to talk about some signs in your hand. God, isn't this pretty? So pretty. I love it. This was one of them that my sister gave me. About half of my collection is what my sister gave me. And I am extremely grateful, but I will keep saying it. All right, let's get into this spread real quick. All right, so what truth lies in my hand shape? And I have a fire hand. I would say it's a philosophical hand, because I have all the elements, but I am predominantly fire, and I think even some air. So what truth lies in my hand shape? Because my hand shape itself is fire. All right, so let's see. What truth lies there? Oh, well, that has been a stalker card for me. Yes, it has. All right. What wisdom rises from my strongest mount? Today, My strongest mount is, I'm going to say it's my moon. It's between my moon and Jupiter. So Venus is right in there too, but let's go with, and for anyone that is that, anyway, never mind. So I'm going to say it's between the moon and Jupiter, and so maybe the cards will. So what wisdom rises from my strongest mount? Oh, there we go. Oh my, makes sense. Oh, interesting. So here we are. What energy flows through my lifeline? Now, I have a very short lifeline in my left hand and a long one in my right. So, what energy flows through my lifeline? Yep. What lesson is hidden in my markings? Oh my goodness. Well, I have a lot of them, so let's let the cards guide me there. What lesson is hidden in my markings? Oh, we'll take the top one. Oh, interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Card 5. What am I learning to trust? What am I learning to trust? Well, I know the answer to that one too. What is the final soul message from my palm? Oh my goodness. Yep. There's no making this stuff up, and you have been here long enough with me to know what that means. Okay, and I'm going to leave that right where it's at too, because, okay, so if we go through these questions, what truth lies in my hand shape? Well, I'm a fire hand. I am, even my astrological chart, I am definitely ruled by fire. I am a Aries moon and a Leo rising, sometimes when you have too much passion or whatever, and you've got shadow work to do, my past experience has showed me that sometimes I rein it in because I can come on extremely strong. So over the years, I've learned, unhealthy habits like people pleasing and, just not saying how I feel. And sometimes that brings me right here where I'm either deliberately not seeing something, blocking emotions to save everyone else. But inevitably, even if you look at this card, this is a stalker card for me because I'm always at a crossroads. You know what I'm saying? Because of that, I always find myself with triggered by something and then never ending shadow work because I will not, I think for those that have followed me long enough, they know that, shadow work, I feel for myself is important because I don't let shit go. It means that if I'm bothered by something, I want to know why. And I know that inevitably those answers are within me. It has nothing to do with whoever triggered me. And that's the bottom line. And so having a fire hand and having passion means you can be impulsive, you can be impatient, and probably have a lot of triggers. And I'm sure that anyone that has a lot of fire in their chart can relate. So the second question is, what wisdom rises from my strongest mount? And I told you that was between Jupiter and the moon and that I would let the cards guide me. I feel like this is definitely pointing to Jupiter, right? Sometimes I want to control. But here you see the Emperor is, this card, he is caring for a child. You know that I am a child, LEP in Michigan. That means License Exempt Child Care Provider. I watch my grandbabies, but I'm very professional about it. But yet I'm also, I'm grandma. Okay. So I am all of that rolled into one. And I think the cards are just reiterating that that's who I am, and that's okay. That's who I am at my core. I'm a very powerful caregiver, put it that way. I take great pride in it, you know. My grandbabies are my life, my purpose. So, card 3, what energy flows through my lifeline? I got judgment. Now, how is it that would affect judgment, right? How would your lifeline? Well, it is your vitality. Your lifeline is your vitality. It is not how long you're going to live. It does tell, physical struggles, but again, physical. So, it's in my body. It's in my body. We withhold these things in our body. And defensiveness is judgmental. And do I hold that in my body? I do. And that's part of the being triggered, and it comes from this. So, and we do. We hold that shit in our body. It's part of there. You will be seeing the deck that I created shortly. It got approved today, but I created an oracle deck. Now, it was inspired by the ACE study that shows that adverse childhood events affect our health in later years. It leads to all sorts of things, and they are proving that. There's actual studies that prove that they can affect your health. They can cause cancer. They can cause lung. So this is extremely appropriate because I feel that. What lesson, card 4, what lesson is hidden in my markings? And I got the Ace of Pentacles. And honestly, if I think about, all my markings I look at them as potential. And so even a cross, to me, even if it shows an area of struggle, then my personality, my archetype turned that into a lesson, so, and I prosper from that. That to me is just plain and simple. So card 5, what am I learning to trust? I'm learning to trust that it's never this, even if it appears so. And that's why I love spreads, because, no matter the meaning of the card, if it's a reversal, if it's, it's never as hard as you might think. So even though this card looks difficult, that's what it is. It looks difficult. You can get through anything. It is mindset. And that I trust. Card 6, what is the final soul message from my palm? I'm a Queen of Wands, okay? I've been saying this for years. Well, not years, but I'd say at least the last couple of years. And it was when I first started reading my palms. So how freaking appropriate and coming full circle is that? The cards just reiterated that I have tested as an INFJ, but I am closer to being a Queen of Wands. And the INFJ is the Queen of Cups. But I'm going to tell you, I can be all of them. I am all the queens. So are you. You know what I mean? We are all of the tarot. We are all of them. But this is my significator. It's who I am at my core. I'm extremely passionate. And I do have a lot of confidence, and it's not, oh, she's got a large ego. You can think whatever you want. Appearances are everything, right? Or are they? That would be a whole other video to get into what the ego is, but, I have a strong personality, and I am not ashamed of it. You either like me or you don't, and that's totally on you. If you don't, you know what I mean? It's not any of my business. I embrace this woman. I embrace her, and I am I don't know. And look at this card, shows how magical she is too, right? Yeah. Look at that Leo. Yeah. Yeah. This is, yeah. Anyway, let's talk about some signs in our hands. And so again, the link to the worksheet will be in the description, and it will be in my pinned comment, so that you can follow along. What was the last page on that? Message from my hand. So the page 4 is just for you to sketch out and, kind of use your intuition, and just do whatever. I think most of you have already been doing that. So it's just an extra page for that. But, yes, the description for that will be in, or the link will be in the description or the comment. Boy, I need some more coffee. Goodness gracious. Oh, and I don't have my face on camera on purpose because I'm feeling my jammies. Okay, so let's talk. I should probably grab a pen out. Yeah, let's grab a pen. Okay, let's talk about some signs in our hands that everybody questions. The big one is the mystical M, and that's your lifeline, which is right here. That's your headline, and I'm drawing mine exactly where the line starts. And this is your heart line. Okay, now this is my left hand, and I will tell you that the fate line in your left hand usually looks different than your right hand. So what makes these lines, all 4 lines, connect? Okay, so I have a double fate line in my left hand. So wherever the lines are all connected is the mystical M. Now, preferably, you want this line to touch this line. That makes it connected, okay? Interconnected and feeding off of each other. It's kinetic energy. It pulls everything and acts as one. That's what makes it so mystical. It means your heart is in sync with your head and your life. It's like having all your chakras aligned. It doesn't mean that it's that your kundalini is going to rise without interruption here and there or bounce back up and down. It means that potential is there. Okay, the potential that you have to have all of them working together. So my lifeline does not touch my headline. So it's not a true M here, although I have a double fate line here. And this hand does not mirror my right hand. In my right hand, they are all connected. All of them. So I do have the true mystical M in my right hand, and my lifeline is connected to my headline. So that would make the true in my right hand, in my dominant hand. It meant, honestly, if you take a look at that, coming from my hand of potential, which again, I see it all as potential, but if you look up anything on the internet or find any answers, they will tell you the common denominator or the consensus is that your left hand is the potential you bring into the world, and your dominant hand is what you do with it. And then if you are left-handed, it's supposed to be the opposite. And if you're ambidextrous, then it would lie in both hands, and only you know. In other words, no one else is going to look at your hands and tell you which is which if you're ambidextrous. I am going to tell you that I see it in both hands, so I look at everybody as they're ambidextrous. I do like to know what the dominant hand is. In other words, if I throw something at you and whatever hand you catch with is your dominant hand, that tells me where you are more likely in the now. So that's just a little helpful for you. Another myth is that your lifeline tells you how long you're going to live. That is not accurate by any means. The closest thing to tell you about your health and length of life are in these racets down here, these bracelets. And each one represents 25 years. A full racet represents 25 years. And you can tell, again, just like you can on any of the other hands, if there's chaining, there's going to be struggles. You know, this is first 25, second 25, third 25. If there's chaining, it shows struggles. If there's X's, if it's a long, deep line, well, then you've got good health, you know. Another sip of coffee. Let's see, what else? You don't want to see a star on Saturn. That does mean the ending of something that you have been in service to. It could mean a fatality, but it definitely means an ending. Or maybe you do. It just, you know what I mean? Maybe you do want to see it there because you've been taking care of. So there's you know, taking care of somebody. And when that ends, you're going to carry guilt and because, or just struggle with the fact that that was your life until it wasn't. Let's see. These lines over here are the lines of stigmata. And those represent a healer. So the more lines that you have over here show a healer. There's lines on the side of your hand up here between the pinky and your heart line. And those are called marriage lines, relationship lines. I didn't get into those. But it's supposed to, these represent people that you are bonded to or they left their mark on you. Then the lines that cross them, those lines, the marriage lines, those are called children's lines. And those are lines that represent, I'm going to say creatures or plants or things that we are bonded with that we feel responsible for. So it's not always children, but they're called children lines. Let me see. If you have any questions, let me know. There's also, if between your heart line, or I'm sorry, your lifeline and your fate line, sometimes there's an X there and it has to, you know, that means you're going to save a life or you did save somebody's life. It's called the, oh shoot, I'm having a brain fart. It's the mark of an angel. So that is to, I think it's Gabriel. Shoot, I can't remember. But anyway, that one is one I learned in latter days. One that I also, I kind of discovered for myself is a pentagram. Some people will have like an actual like pentagram in their hand. And to me, that's one of those things that I see in people that I call like maybe like hybrid DNA, because these are people that are, I would say, extremely neurodivergent. They are very connected to other planes of existence. Like they connected. We're all connected. Not the right word. In tune. It's like sometimes there will be an overlap in dimensions that they are able to see into because of their kinetic energy. It's like having the mystic M in both hands, honestly, is what that, and it would depend on where you see that pentagram, like maybe in the moon area or something down in here. I mean, you can see it anywhere. To me, it shows kinetic energy, but it's, again, it's like that. It's connecting you to everything. And so a person that is neurodivergent is extremely tapped in too, sometimes overwhelmingly so. Let's see. Yeah, drop your questions, and especially in your videos, or if you like have specific questions for me, I will be watching anything with a hashtag Know Thy Hand and adding it to the playlist that I've started for this Know Thy Hand. If I haven't, I will, so that you can go back and you can look at these and you can watch everyone else's. So yeah, and I don't expect everybody to show their secrets, okay? Because these are extremely personal things, you know, they're about you. But if anything, just to help yourself, and maybe you might want to, you know, look at someone else's hands. But I hope that you remember what it has taken you to read a palm. And it's not something you're just going to learn, and there are so many more things to learn. There's the shape of the fingers, there's things on your nails, the shape of your nails, there's where your fingers lie, there's stuff about the thumb. There are a lot of things that I didn't share. When I do a palm reading, I try to have at least 2 hours available to sit and talk with you. And this is all accumulated knowledge and study. And hopefully, if you followed along, you can see that this is not something that you just, oh yeah, okay, cool, I'm just going to start reading palms. It does take some study, and I think it's extremely valuable knowledge. And I hope now, just with the little bit that you've learned, you can see that it is very personal to you, and whether you think it's valid information. You know what I mean? Because that, I can't tell you if it is, but when I give a palm reading, I give you all that you learned and a lot more, actually. And so it does take time to learn these things. And there are, you know, questions that you're going to have. And yeah, I think really that's about all I can think of. There are a lot of things. There's an eye of Phoenix right here, that truly it's not an eye of Phoenix unless it looks like all the lines are connected in the thumb. You know what I mean? So it looks like an eye. Like if there's a break, it's not a true eye of Phoenix. And that's the whole thing too. The mystic cross that's in here, that's another one. The X that you find in the middle between the heart line and the headline, they have to touch at all points, or it's not a mystic cross. Because again, it's combining the head and the heart. That's what makes it truly mystical. And so we always hear, ooh, do you have this rare mark in your hand? A lot of us have them, and we absolutely, it looks like it, but if these points are not all touching, then it's not the true mystical cross. Same with that M, the mystical M. Are all these points connected? Because if they're not, it's not the true mystical M. And it's not for you to convince me. It's for you to be convinced in yourself, because all that means is that all those lines are all working together. It's kinetic. They all, you know, when we have blockages in the body, then we're not truly at our best, right? That's pretty much, it's, the capability is there. And here is the most interesting thing of all. If they don't connect, well, that's where all these other little lines come into play, okay? So like I have a line right here, which is my Mars line. And it goes clear up into here. And guess what? It connects all of them. It connects all of them. So anytime we are working on ourselves and we see a minor line appear and it happens to connect a major line to something, it's very important. It's very important to recognize. Why? Because it's showing that you're making progress on your inner self. You are alchemizing. You are transmuting. You are changing. And that's what true growth is. So I hope that you keep the snapshots of your hands and look at them a month later or 6 months, or just set it and forget it, right? Look at it a year later and take that little trick that I showed you in the last video, Canva, where you can use the transparency and put it over the visual so that you can see the difference. I think that would be interesting. You can definitely look at a photograph, your pictures, and see it, but you'll see more if you do that. So yeah, okay, I have rambled so much, and I can't think of anything right offhand that would be a significant thing to talk about right now. But again, I do give palm readings. And I have 3 different palm readings available in my shop. So go to my Ko-fi and check those out if you're interested. And but I would say you've probably learned quite a bit about yourself. And I think some of you have already had a palm reading from me. So yes, thank you so much for being here and sharing this time with me. And I will see you in the next one.